Welcome to Inside Politics with Kevin Klein, beyond the headlines, beyond the spin. Straight facts, sharp analysis, and common sense conversation you won't hear anywhere else. Let's get started.
Former PC Premier Heather Stefanson was fined 18 grand this week. Her Deputy Premier 12 grand. Her former minister 10 grand. They broke the conflict of interest law that their PC government passed, and it was unconstitutional. After you voted in the last election, they tried to push through a controversial mining project. After you voted them out of office, they were warned that this was wrong. The current PC party leader was part of those briefings. So, yes, unconstitutional. Yes, they were fined. But ultimately, it's all about respecting you, the voter. When you cast a ballot, everyone in politics has to respect your decision. That's democracy.
Okay, a little bit of a plug there, I guess, for the Winnipeg Sun and Wab Kinew talking about the CO Silica investigation. The report has come out from the ethics commissioner, and two former MLAs were found to have broken the legislation, if you will, broken the law, and one sitting MLA. Guilty of trying to push through, if you will, the CO Silica licensing. What are your thoughts on the response, first of all, from the Premier and then from Leader of the Opposition, Abi Khan?
Well, it reminds me of a line from the movie Lincoln. It's not downright criminal, but once your government has been defeated, and you were in the room, Kevin, you know far more about this than any of the rest of us, but once a government has been defeated, I think it's generally acknowledged that you don't try to push through your agenda before you hand the reins of power over. It's a little different in the different in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean,
after you're not allowed to, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, after November 15th in the United States, there's a lame duck president who tends to still do a few things just to benefit himself or issue pardons and that kind of thing. But here, yeah, no, we don't do that. And so I think there was a reluctance, I think, on the part of our former premier to issue a proper mea culpa on this one. I think you have to, the ethics commissioner has made a ruling. I think you have to take your licks and say, I'm sorry, and move on.
Yeah. And I mean, for the record, so everybody knows, I was the minister who said no to, I was the guy they called saying, hey, push this through. Let's get it through. We had lost the election. I was the one who said, nope, that's not what we're going to do. That's not what I believe in. They then tried to go to another minister after that. And then I guess it got out into the media somehow. So I just want to get that on the record that I was a part of that in that sense. I was the one who said no, but some good thoughts from Jeff. Royce, what are your thoughts?
Well, I read the report, not cover to cover, but I did read most of it. And
over 100 pages. I read it. Over 100 pages.
Good for you. That's fantastic. But I kind of enjoyed it because it kind of read like a screenplay for a comedy in Hollywood. It was clearly a kind of misadventure.
So hang on one second. Who do you see playing me?
Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, we know that there was that presentation to cabinet about the caretaker convention. You can maybe make the argument like, well, was this really violating the convention? We can have those kinds of arguments in seminars if we want to. I don't really want to get into those kinds of nitpicky things. I think the big thing is that this investigation and the penalties came as a result of a new ethics regime that actually kicked in after the election. Was introduced by the previous PC government, ironically, but also to the credit of the former government. And we can see it actually does have some teeth. Like if you read this report, it's a real investigation. He did a lot of work. I've got a few things I kind of wrote down I didn't really agree with, but it's a real investigation. And now there are real penalties. The legislature has to vote to impose the recommended penalties at $18,000 and I think 10,000 or 12,000 for the other people. The thing is now the legislature has to vote on this. But the premier said they're not going to have a vote. They're going to wait. They're going to wait on it. And it seems pretty clear. He's even said so himself. He wants to keep talking about it. He wants to keep raising it. He wants to kind of beat the Obby Khan, beat the PCs over the head with it. Well, that's great. That's good politics, good for him. But on the one hand, you can't really kind of get all indignant about an ethics violation on the one hand, but then on the other hand, kind of treat it as a political football. If he is serious about this, it should go to a vote. I think it should go to a vote quickly. The legislature should decide whether or not they're actually going to impose those penalties, and that should be it. It should follow the process as it's written.
So
now here's another point, though, Kevin, that CO Silica is not, they haven't given up trying to get government approval.
No.
So supposing they resubmit and it clears all of the hurdles, and the NDP government of today says, this is a pretty good project. This could generate a lot of money and prosperity in Manitoba. We're going to approve it. Well, after beating up the previous government for trying to do the very same thing. I mean, I know there are nuances and there are differences. It's not the same scenario at all. However, in the public perception, we're talking about big picture public perception here. You wonder if it could present a stumbling block. I think Royce is right. You have to be a little bit cautious about how long you drag this out before letting it go. You've got your political win, right? You've got your political win.
Yeah.
The opposition's got lots of egg on its face. You can make some hay out of that for a little while, but you don't want to drag it on too long, I don't think. You start to look petty if you do.
Yeah, and I agree. I think if he drags it out, it looks petty, but I don't think they should have the ability or the authority or the opportunity to vote on it. If the integrity commissioner has come down, if you've given him the power, him or her the power to do the investigation, they've determined what the fine should be, that should be the end of it. That's the fine. That's the penalty. This whole idea of having the MLAs now vote for it, it's just a way, and I'm going to be honest here, and I'm not sticking up for any one of them. It's the way that if somebody in the Conservative Party says, no, they shouldn't have to pay the penalty, then they're going to use that. It'll become an election campaign. You'll get little things in your mailbox at the time of the election. They voted to allow for this person to break the law. All that kind of nonsense. I mean, if the integrity commissioner has been given the authority, let the integrity commissioner do the job and make the people pay the penalty. I think, though, as again, someone who was there, that this really speaks to leadership for both Canoe and Khan. If Canoe's going to continue to play the game like you're both talking about, where he wants to keep whacking the mole, remember that game in the fair? You just keep whacking the mole every time they step up, and he wants to use that. I have no time for that. There's enough problems in this province. I don't want you to waste my time doing that. But on the other hand, Khan, if you're going to be a leader and you're a real leader, this is where the rubber hits the road, as they say. People want to know where you stand on this. And his response to the media was kind of wishy-washy, like, well, I don't think, I read it and I think they didn't understand the integrity commissioner and the integrity commissioner didn't understand the MLAs. And, we have to get to the bottom of that. Now, read the report. It's pretty clear. They have evidence. They have evidence in the report. It's pretty clear. That's why I think this is a leadership moment for me, for both of them. This is for both of them. Canoe should come out right away. We've got the report. The report, unfortunately, says that we're supposed to vote. Let's vote. Let's vote right now. People have a right to vote. Let's vote right now. And for Khan, he's got to come out. Like, did the PC government pay for any of the attorneys? Who pays the fine? Is it the party that pays the fine for the members that are no longer members, or do the members pay the fine? None of that was really clear to me. And it's still not clear to me. And I think this is, again, a moment where both leaders have to come out, if they want to be true leaders, and stand up and give us the truth, give us the facts, and put this thing to bed. One final thing, and I'm going to go on about this, but the CO Silica thing isn't a bad thing. It's how it was tried to push through that was bad. And I don't want people to lose sight of that, because I think you're right, Jeff. If you're in a spot here where this could be a very big deal for Manitoba if done right. And it wasn't when I was environment minister, there was still some work that had to be done. That's the way I felt. I'm not saying anything out of school. That's what I said in the media at the time, as soon as the report came out. So I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, or if it's bad for the environment or it's good or not. There's some work that has to be done on that. And this should not get in the way of that. And that's when I want to get back to leadership. Now it's up to Canoe. You can make a game of this, or you can get it out of the way and get on with making the right decision for Manitoba, and the same for Con. Just saying, oh, we're not going to let our person be the critic for mining anymore, and maybe they didn't understand each other, I'll leave it at that. I think that the integrity commissioner made the call. There should be no vote. They were found guilty. Pay the fine, get on with your life, and let's move forward.
Yeah, I think that's a convincing argument, actually. And if parliamentarians felt that the ethics commissioner was misusing his powers, they can always amend the act after that. But yeah, this letting the legislature vote on it, it does introduce a kind of political aspect to it that shouldn't necessarily be there. It would be better to kind of take this out of the hands of politicians. I think you're right. I think the longer that this goes on, the longer that the premier talks about this, it kind of poisons the well for any kind of future development, any future with this or other places. The Wab Kinew was quoted in the Free Press saying that this is the worst thing that's ever happened in Canadian political history. Like, really? Okay. Well, a little bit of hyperbole there. For Obbie, yeah, I feel, Obbie, it's kind of a tough job. He wasn't one of the people here, but he has to be. He's the one that has to deal with it in the same way as with the landfill ad campaign. On that, he actually took a hard line on it. He drew a line between
No, he
his
did not.
in the past. Sure, he did. He said he agreed with Wayne Wasco, and he
But at first he
disagreed
said he
with
was
that.
going to wait until he won, until the leadership race was over. If you're going to take I'm sorry, you're going to take a hard line, take it. What does it matter if you're leader or not? Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, when he became leader, he did stand up and he said, I disapprove of that. So it is possible to do that kind of thing. And I think that if that's the approach he's taking, if he wants to create kind of line between his time as leadership and Heather Stephenson's time as leader, then that is the way to do it. He could invest more effort into that. Yeah,
Let me
I
throw
would be
let me
opposed
throw
by
this
that.
at you. Here's my thing: is that politicians are getting really good at one thing now, and Trudeau was great at it, saying they're sorry, and then moving on and doing it again. And then just saying they're sorry. They're like a 4-year-old child, right? Don't do that. Oh, I'm sorry I did that. Okay, great. Now don't do that again. So they go and they do it again. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, you're sorry. That's what I'm finding is happening right now. I think if you've done something to this extent, if the integrity commissioner finds you guilty of something, I'm okay with the fine. Me personally, I would say, okay, you're out. You're done. The integrity commissioner found that you acted without integrity. You're gone. We're going to have a by-election. You can run in that by-election if you want, but we're automatically going to have a by-election.
Or at the very least, the leader could remove that person from caucus. The leader has that discretion.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I think at this particular point in time, it's going to be up to the two leaders to make a decision here. And I believe it will paint a picture of who they are. If they're leaders or they're not leaders. I think Jeff said it very well, that the CO Silica issue has got to be decided on. It cannot continue to sit there. It is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity for the province of Manitoba if done properly. And I think playing games, political games, is the biggest mistake that Wab Kinew can make during this. He had a little bit of fun. We saw the video. He had some fun with the video. Thank you for using the Winnipeg Sun. Thank you for buying the Winnipeg Sun. Nice to know that you support it. But on the other hand, I mean, you've got the other leaders that are sitting there going, well, I don't know if they didn't understand each other. They didn't understand each other. Both of them need to be adults here and get it over with, and then get on to the business of whether or not the CO Silica project is right or wrong for Manitoba. That's how we start attracting people to our province, right? We're losing people all the time, and they see antics like this, and maybe that's another reason they're not coming, but that's a story for another day. Gentlemen, I like this discussion. Thank you very much both for your time. We'll come back next week and hopefully have some fun things to talk about after the G7 summit. Maybe it'll be called the GT summit. What do you think?
No.
GT, the GT, you know, the Trump summit.
Oh, I see.
There you go.
Got it.
Did you, like the old car, GT? I've lost you now.
I thought you meant gin and tonic. It is Friday.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Good
Bye-bye.
one.
Thanks for watching Inside Politics with Kevin Klein. Please like and subscribe to this channel and visit thewinnipegsun.com for more.